So the Tanyard Brook project is a drainage improvement project. The stormwater generated from the about 500-acre watershed is conveyed about 4,500 feet from the State Street Reservoir to Walker Cove. And along that 4,500-foot alignment are 40 residential properties. So these residential properties have experienced frequent flooding whenever there is any type of a storm, and then there's subsequent property damage. The primary goal of the Tanyard Brook project was to intercept and convey the 10-year design storm. And the way that we proposed to do this was to install a rectangular box culvert along the alignment of Tanyard Brook. That box culvert ranged in size from 3 foot by 6 foot to a 4 foot by 9 foot culvert. And that culvert was installed along that 4,500 foot alignment. So it went through people's yards, it went between their houses, under garages. It was a very, very tricky alignment to come up with the most feasible route with the least amount of disturbance. To me, the entire project is a resiliency project, from trying to mitigate the flooding for these residential properties down to the coast, where there's also coastal flooding from the brook. The most innovative piece of resiliency for the project for us was down near the outfall. So the outfall for Tanyard Brook is at Walker Cove, and it's tidally influenced. When high tide hits, the outfall is submerged, and then seawater actually enters Tanyard Brook. So when that happens, the flooding is just exacerbated, and it causes more problems. The first thing that we did was install a tide gate. It would eliminate the seawater from entering the culvert, but during high tide, it would also stop the stormwater from discharging out of the culvert. So there would be flooding along the coast. Tanyard Brook is an open channel, and adjacent to that open channel, the town owned a piece of green space. We graded that green space area, we planted it, we landscaped it, and we made it into a flood storage area. So if high tide hit, which coincided with the peak of a storm, then the stormwater within the culvert that couldn't discharge would purposely overflow into this flood zone area that we had planted and landscaped. And then as high tide receded and the peak of the storm receded and some capacity became available, the flow would then re-enter the open channel and be able to be discharged to Walker Cove. That helped mitigate the flooding along the coast and also any of the road closures. That piece of resiliency was just a neat piece for us in conjunction with a successful rewarding project.